Shalom, we continue now with Psalm 112. Hallelujah! Happy is the man who fears the Lord, who is ardently devoted to his commandments. His descendants will be mighty in the land, a blessed generation of upright men. Wealth and riches are in his house, and his beneficence lasts forever. A light shines for the upright in the darkness. He is gracious, compassionate, and beneficent. All goes well with the man who lends generously, who conducts his affairs with equity. He shall never be shaken. The beneficent man will be remembered forever. He is not afraid of evil tidings. His heart is firm. He trusts in the Lord. His heart is resolute. He is unafraid. In the end, he will see the fall of his foes. He gives freely to the poor. His beneficence lasts forever. His horn is exalted in honor. The wicked man shall see it and be vexed. He shall gnash his teeth. His courage shall fail. The desire of the wicked shall come to nothing. This psalm, along with the psalm immediately before it, Psalm 111, are meant to be linked together. Both of them are acrostic psalms, namely they are written in alphabetical order, each verse beginning with a letter from the alphabet, or the Hebrew alphabet, in succession, from Aleph, the first letter, to Tav, the last letter. The difference is that in the last Psalm, 111, the emphasis was on the attributes and qualities of God. In 112, now, the psalmist is interested in the attributes and qualities of an upright and righteous man. The theme of Psalm 111 and 112 has to do with human beings' goal to imitate God in all of our ways. Imitatio Dei is a Latin term that is found in early Christianity and among the Christian philosophers, but it is also present in the Bible, with the idea that we are to walk uprightly and to follow God's ways. Now, what are God's ways? Well, the psalmist makes it clear. In Psalm 111, the psalmist says that the Lord is gracious and compassionate, giving food to those who fear him. He is also beneficent. His beneficence is everlasting. So too in Psalm 112, the psalmist informs us that the upright and righteous man is one who is gracious, compassionate, and beneficent, just like God. So just as God is gracious, compassionate, and giving or beneficent, so too the upright man, the righteous man, is gracious, compassionate, and beneficent. Of course, this goes for all human beings, not only men, but we are talking about a kind of a male-oriented society back in those days. But in today's day and age, we, of course, understand this as extending to all human beings across the board. So, compassion, grace, and beneficence. The difference is that the beneficence of the righteous man is mentioned in our psalm not once, not twice, but 4 times. With God, there's really a reference to God's beneficence in the preceding psalm, basically a few times, giving food to those who fear him and also sending redemption to his people. But the righteous man, the righteous person, is expected to be not double and triple, but quadruple beneficent. Now, what that means and what this assumes is that such a person, and again, if I slip into using the word man, my apologies. It's just that is the way it is framed in the psalm. The upright person, it is assumed that this person is wealthy. In fact, the psalmist is clear about it. He says in verse 3, wealth and riches are in his house. Why the emphasis on the wealth of a person here. I think part of the reason is that a person who is poor or lacking in means and creature comforts will not have the same kind of challenges and the same kind of uh, magnets that pull him or her in the direction away from being beneficent and charitable. With wealth comes corruption, or at least the possibility of corruption. With excessive wealth can come the inclination to hoard it for oneself and not to share it with others. The psalmist recognizes the fact that people of means have an extra challenge, an extra calling to share their wealth with others. And that is why the psalmist says, all goes well with the person who lends generously, conducting his affairs with equity. The beneficent man will be remembered forever. He gives freely to the poor. His beneficence lasts forever. He is called upon to share what he has with those who have less. He is one of the haves. He needs to remember and be gracious and beneficent to the have-nots. It's a very important concept, I think, that the psalmist is bringing up here. He recognizes that not everybody can be wealthy, that not everybody is blessed with prosperity. And perhaps it is easier for someone who has less wealth and riches to find righteousness in his life because he is not enticed and seduced by his wealth. Thus, the psalmist reminds us that if we have a lot, if we are blessed with prosperity, all the more important, all the more are we obliged to be charitable and to give to those who have less. And so most of us may not find ourselves in this category. Most of us may find that we are not wealthy or rich. But whatever we do have, if we have surplus, we are called upon to share some of that with those who have less. This, I believe, is an important message that the psalmist shares with us. In order to walk in God's ways, in order to follow God's paths, we must be compassionate, kind, gracious, and beneficent, no matter how much wealth we possess. If we have a lot, all the more so must we be charitable. If we have less, then we are inclined to do whatever we can and whatever we have reasonably to share with others. So it is possible, no matter what our level of wealth in our lives, to aspire to this kind of righteousness. The psalmist knows that we are not all equal in terms of our possessions and our wealth. The psalmist also knows that the more we have, the more we can be enticed to keep to ourselves. Therefore, remember always to share with others, because that is what it means to walk in God's ways, and that's what God would want of us as we walk through this journey of life. Thank you.